Greetings, welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today you're going to be watching an interview with Canadian band Borealis, who are about to release their new album on AFM Records called Illusions, which is a fantastic album, great progressive rock metal album, so check it out. So thanks for watching this interview folks, be safe and stay metal. Okay then, so folks, we're talking to Matt from Borealis. Is it Borealis, the name of the band? Borealis, is that what you say it?
Borealis.
Borealis, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes it's so how's things with you today then? Are things going good?
Good. Yes. Yep. A little cool outside here, but it's good.
So look, we're going to start by asking you some warm-up questions first. You formed in 2005, didn't you, as a band?
Yeah.
So how did you guys get together?
It was mostly just friends from high school, and especially at that time, the European music sound, anyways, wasn't very common. But a group of us really enjoyed it. We just started playing covers of like Ed Guy and Nightwish and stuff, Blind Guardian, and then eventually we're like, let's try and do something ourselves. Vocally, we didn't. I wasn't singing originally. We had a female vocalist, and it was more operatic, more very Nightwish style. And then it wasn't until we put out World of Silence was when I took over to sing, because we just wanted to try something a little different. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Ever since then, we just tried making music, and we just never stopped.
So was guitar your first love of an instrument, or was vocals? Because like you said, you did the vocals on the second album.
Yeah, guitar was my main focus my whole life, and that was something that I did very young. And one of the reasons why, the only reason really why I started doing vocals was we didn't have a singer at the time, and we had a show with Sonata Arctica, or no, sorry, with Camelot. No, I'm lying. Sorry, Sonata Arctica, and we didn't want to miss it. We couldn't find a singer, so I said, "Okay, I'll sing for this show, just so we can play it." Because we didn't want to not play it, and that was it. That's how it started.
All right, okay. So who's your guitar influences? Who inspired you to pick up a guitar, and what sort of guitar did you have with the first one? What was your first guitar?
My first, influence-wise, Eddie Van Halen was kind of my very first influence, and then I kind of branched in to Jason Becker, a lot of the 80s guys, Jason Becker, and then Paul Gilbert. And my very first, I guess, notable guitar was the Ernie Ball Music Man, and it was similar to the one that Eddie Van Halen was using in the 90s. I really liked that guitar. And then it wasn't until later I started going into Jackson and Shecker, and then just different models to get the heavier sound. But my first guitar was the Ernie Ball Music Man that I still have currently. But yeah, Eddie Van Halen is probably my true guy who inspired me. Yeah, he's the one that got me playing.
So when you said about all these other guitarists like Jason Becker and Paul Gilbert, you'd have been influenced by Cacophony, Racer X, maybe Apocrypha, and all those like shrapnel bands.
Yes. Well, yeah, Jason Becker, like originally it was just his solo album, Perpetual Burn, that I was blown away by. And then I got into like Yngwie Malmsteen, like I think most guitar players do. And then it just kind of branched from there. So I was really big into the 80s rock, metal, Doc and Winger, like just those guys. Just because they were so, at the time I didn't even really know about the European scene, so like I only knew what was here, and I just loved all that melodic guitar and the shredding and the flashy kind of stuff.
So what was your first band you was in then before Borealis formed?
The first band, it was a band called Tin Door. I don't really know why that name existed, and it was more of like a thrash kind of Metallica style band, but it wasn't really for me. I wanted something a little more melodic, so I was in that band for a few years, and then after that Borealis was formed, and it's been them ever since.
So your first band, did they actually record any albums or anything? Is there anything for people to check out?
No, it was just a demo.
So that'll be on you. That'll be on YouTube then, I guess.
I don't even think it would be on YouTube. Like when it was a demo, it was maybe 10 copies. Like we were a full on garage band.
So when you got Borealis together, did you know what style of music you wanted to play, or were you just working on ideas until you actually decided that was the direction?
We all kind of had the same musical influences at that time, and we knew that we wanted to do that kind of symphonic, melodic metal. That was kind of the goal for us that we wanted to do. But for instance, our song like Black Rose that was the very first song we ever did.
Right.
And we wrote and we had that song. We just rehearsed it for hours. That was the only song that we had written. And that was kind of the style that we wanted to get into. It was just the melodic metal with keyboards.
So I guess a lot of the Scandinavian bands were a big influence on you then, like Sonata Arctica and Stratovarius.
Yes, especially at that time. Sonata Arctica, Stratovarius, Nightwish, Blind Guardian, even some of the fantasy one like Freedom Call. I'm trying to remember.
Was you influenced by like Tarot, Marco's other band from Nightwish? Was you interested in Tarot?
Yes, they were later on for me. I didn't know until I knew that Marco was in Nightwish when I said, "Oh, he's from the Tarot band," and then I went back and looked up them. So Tarot was also.
Yeah, I like them more than I like Nightwish, to be honest.
Well, especially Nightwish now. I'm not the biggest fan of anymore. Yeah. I like, I guess, the older style of Nightwish. But yeah, no, I love Tarot.
Okay, then. So, I mean, like your first album, World of Silence, like you said, that was a female singer, I believe, on that album.
It wasn't a female singer. It was like our demo had a female singer.
Right.
And then she left, and then World of Silence came out, and then I did the vocals for the release of it.
Because that was a self-financed release, wasn't it? You put it out yourselves.
Yes. Yeah, and we really knew nothing. Like, we were kind of just going by what everyone else was telling us. And which I think is fine. It's a learning curve to do all this stuff. But even then, surprisingly, like even in 2008, like having home studios wasn't as common, especially what it is now. So we had to go into this studio and spend way too much money to do something that was.
I mean, what's the name Borealis mean? What does it mean?
Borealis is based from the Northern Lights, so an Aurora Borealis.
Right.
So that's pretty much how it was named. There wasn't anything wildly creative with it. It was our bass player at the time. He said he was driving and he could see it, and he was like, "Oh, that would be kind of cool." Knowing that there was a band already called Aurora Borealis, he just, what about Borealis? And we all agreed. We didn't have anything against it, and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the album cover, and like you said about the Northern Lights, you can see it above the city and the.
Oh yes, yeah, that was because that one we didn't even, again at the time, because Sonata Arctica and Nightwish were so highly influenced. The cover for that was done by Toxic Angel, the guy who did Nightwish and Sonata Arctica, and he was the guy that at the time created the logo. Like, he did everything, because we really had nothing. We didn't know what to do and like what things needed to be done. He had to pretty much design something for us.
All right, then. Cause, I mean, the second album did Fall from Grace. Now that was released on Lion Music from Finland. How did you hook up with Lion Music?
So Lion Music was done. So we released World of Silence, and it had a little bit of a following, I guess, on the internet. Just, we were a new band and people were starting to hear it, and then a company in the name of Instrumental contacted us, and they were kind of
I know Lars and that. Yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah, so they contacted us, and they were like, and we just kind of released World of Silence, and they came back and they're like, "You should write a new album, and we'll kind of help you out." So Instrumental, we wrote Fall from Grace, and then Instrumental kind of gave us the connection with Lion Music.
Yeah, that's Lassie, Lassie, I believe, from Lion Music.
Yeah, so at the time when that album came out, I guess they sent the packages to different labels, and Lion was one of them. We really didn't know which labels they were sending them to, but Lion was one of them, and that's pretty much how it happened.
I'm very surprised that the Instrumental didn't send your music to LMP Music in Hamburg, because they've got a lot of bands of your style of music at the time.
It's possible that maybe they did, and they just didn't want it. I'm not too sure, because I don't even know the list that they actually sent it to, but Lion was, I guess, one of them that were interested.
Right, so after that album, you only did the one album with Lion. Why did you decide to leave, or did you just get a better offer in the end?
Well, I guess it was a better offer, really. So we, I guess at the time they did send Fall from Grace to AFM, and I guess at that time AFM weren't looking for anybody new, and they declined. And then when we released, or we were promoting Purgatory, nothing was released, but we were working on new stuff. Timo from AFM contacted me directly and asked, he said, "Are you guys doing anything? Is your new album almost complete?" And that's when we kept in touch there. And I said, "Yes, we just finished something. Here's Purgatory. Here's the new album that we have." And it was there where they wanted to sign us through that. So it was them contacting me to see if we wanted to join them. And because Lion, and even at that time, Lion Music, I know they were trying to get away from printing physical media. They were trying to, and I understand that, but I also think physical media is important, especially in metal. I feel like there's a lot of collectors, and it's just a market where you can still sell stuff. And it was important to us to have something physical as well. And AFM was offering that. Plus, AFM to me is a better fit, I think, for our style.
I think a lot of music on Lion Music are all instrumental albums. There seems to be a hell of a lot of instrumental stuff on that label.
Yes, yeah, it's very instrumental now, and very more proggy that I remember than what we were.
Right now, because after that, after the Purgatory album, AFM re-released the first album, didn't they, for you? Was that a good move for you guys? Is it to get so people can get the albums easier?
Yeah, it was like a lot of times people were like, "Why did you re-release it?" And it was strictly because we didn't have the files. We didn't have anything. Like, we had this first one that we did in 2008, but we didn't have anything else. Like, once that one goes, we can't print anymore of that original one. We don't have the WAV files for it. We only have the MP3s that we ripped off of a CD, which is what is on Spotify.
So why don't you have the WAV files? What happened there?
Well, because we were young and we didn't know anything. So you
erased them all, basically.
Well, we just didn't even know that it was like done that way. Like, we recorded, they sent the file to a printer that we didn't even see, and then they just sent us the albums, and that was it. Like, we didn't even know that we needed that file to keep. So we just decided, okay, we'll just re-record it.
Right, so it was actually re-recorded from scratch with today's technology.
Correct, yeah. It was easier for us to just re-record it, and so it is what it is. Like, we're happy, but some people prefer the original, which is fine.
So what's different between the original and the new version, other than the production? Is there anything changed in the music?
The music isn't different. The biggest difference is the tuning, because our newer stuff is tuned down.
Yeah, detuned.
And so the new or the re-recorded version, the tuning is lower. So some of the songs have a slightly different sound to it, I guess, because of the lower tuning.
Right. Okay, now the next album you did in 2018 was The Offering. How do you see that as a progression from all the previous albums you've done?
Well, I think like for us, and I think like most bands, we always think every album we're kind of progressing more and more. I thought we just we wrote a lot of them. It was in the very same vein as Purgatory, where like the writing style was very similar at that time. And we thought it was a step up. We tried doing something like the Ghost of Innocence, which was a longer song. That was something that we never really tried to do. We were actually always afraid to do longer songs because back when we first started, they always said, like, don't make them too long because people are going to get bored as a new band and they don't want to hear that. But we just figured, okay, we've been doing this since 2008. We're going to do a long song and just see what happens. So we just kind of experimented a little bit with elements that we normally wouldn't have done for it. But
did the album sell well for you, the Purgatory? The Offering album, did it sell well?
It did. It's like, I guess for our level, it did. I know streaming hurts in that frame. Like, streaming is fantastic for getting your name out there and being able to get the exposure, but it is difficult sale wise because a lot of people use that platform now, which makes sense. I use it as well, and so it sold as well, I think, as it could for our level and just the way the industry is now.
Okay then, right, so we're going to talk about the new album then, Illusions. Fantastic album, like I said to you earlier. It's like, you've really progressed. I mean, it's pretty much faultless, you know. It's a really good album, really solid songs, really great production. So tell me a little bit about the production, how long it took to record this album.
So the album took quite a while to record. Our drummer has a studio, which makes our life very easy. So all the drums were done with him. The guitars were done a little bit with Kenny's home studio and his studio. I guess with DI tracks and stuff that they do now, it's easy to reamp pretty much anywhere. The bass was done at Sean's. The vocals were the only thing that was causing the biggest issue, and I think that was because of COVID. Here in Canada, they had 4 lockdowns where they just completely shut everything down, and where we weren't able to go into the studio for me to actually do the vocals. So it would open up and then it would shut down. It would open up and it would shut down. So it was the vocals were a wild delay trying to make it happen and get it complete. It got to the point where we had to kind of makeshift our own little studio thing for the vocals just to complete it in time, because it was getting out of hand at that point.
Right then. Sorry, yeah, carry on.
Oh no, I was just saying, so everyone kind of records in their own little area. I always do it very old school. Like, I have to go to the studio and do my guitar parts, do my vocal parts, because I don't have the knowledge to do all the home studio stuff. I've always just gone and done it that way. So I'm a little delayed with all the new technology.
So the guitar wares with you and Kenny, do you both do lead guitars solos?
Yes.
Right. So you're like twin guitars solos, basically.
Yeah. Kenny's doing more now. Like, originally I was doing a lot of the solos, but now Kenny's kind of taking over the lead portion of it, which makes sense, because sometimes it's hard live to if I'm singing and then I have to do a lead, it gets difficult to do it. So Kenny is, anytime there's a lead, especially if I'm singing or something like that, Kenny's taking over that. So there's a few songs where I still play.
Right then. So what about production? Who produced this album for the people that don't know?
Well, we produced it. Like, we don't have an outside source to help us. We just kind of write what we think, and then Sean, the drummer, has a lot of say, especially in the production side of it, with how it's mixed and stuff like that, because he was the one that was doing it. But when it comes to the songwriting portion, it's very grouped.
Right then. So the title, Illusions, did you have any other titles? You must have had other titles for this album.
We did, it was we didn't know what to we're having a tough time naming the album, because of the concept was loosely based from The Offering. So we didn't know, we didn't really have any definitive names. Illusions was just one that we're like, yep, that makes enough sense and it sounds cool for the album name. But we just couldn't find anything other than that fit.
Right. So that was the only title that you really had then for the album.
Yes, yeah, it was.
Right then. So how do you see your music for people out there that don't know what style you are? Would you say you're progressive power metal or symphonic progressive metal? What? How would you categorize your music?
I've always, like, especially with this album, because we have such a larger symphonic, I've always just called it like symphonic melodic metal. I guess I didn't think, especially this one, that we fit the power metal genre. I guess we do. I always think of power metal as like fantasy based.
Do you really? I always see it as American power metal, like Hellstar, Omen, Fate's Warning, Liege Lord. That's how I see power metal, not the European stuff.
Sure. Okay. I get it. Yeah. So I just always consider it as this melodic metal with like the symphonic touch to it.
So who did the artwork for this album, Matt? Who did the artwork? Are you happy with the way it's turned out, the artwork and the production?
Yes. Yeah. So Giannis, he's been doing quite a bit of artwork in the scene right now. He did Oceans of Slumber. He's doing Evergrey. He contacted us and he said, if you guys are looking for someone, here's a couple mock-up things that he had existing with our name. And the one thing that we liked about it was visually different than The Offering and Purgatory. Right. And I love the artwork for Purgatory and I love the artwork for The Offering. But with this album, we wanted something new. So when this album came out, it was like a fresh visual audio, like everything was just new about it. So when he did it, we gave him full control. We just said, here's what the album's about, have at it. And then he designed everything.
Right. So when I listen to your music, especially on this album, I've just reviewed the album, but I need to put it online, so I will send you the YouTube review when it's online. But for me, when I listened to it, it was just like Symphony X, Evergrey, Camelot straight away. Do you agree?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that because they're all brilliant bands.
It's like for myself, Symphony X and Evergrey are huge influences for us. So I definitely get it. We don't try to sound like these bands. So it's not like we're, hey, let's do this because Evergrey or Symphony X do it. It's not like that. It's more just, I think because we listen to that style so much, it just naturally
comes
out that way.
Yeah, shines out. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels right or whatever that may be. But we never forcefully try and sound like somebody. It always just kind of happens, and we've been doing it for so long like that it I hope people realize that we're not trying to copy other bands, because we're not.
It's a really, really, like I say, it's a really fantastic album. So I just hope that the next album, can you better the next album? That's the question.
Yeah, well, that's always the fear. Having Vikram do the orchestrations for this album.
Yeah, I noticed because there's no actual keyboard player on this album, so you've actually got somebody to do the arrangements for you.
Correct. Yeah, having Vikram is a huge part as to why I think this album stands out even more, because the orchestrations that he created were phenomenal. There's so much emotion, so much going on with each song, with what he's doing. It's incredible with what he did. And there was so much going on that we felt that it wasn't fair to not have it heard. So later on in the year, we're going to have it released where you can just hear the orchestra of the album, because like he had so much so many layers and so many. It's really outstanding what he did. So it answer to your question. It makes us nervous because it's like we need him. We need him for the next album because like if we don't have someone like that, yeah, like we've set our bar high now and we have to maintain it, I think.
Okay, then, so Matt, what's your favourite songs off the new album? I mean, there's 11 songs, isn't there, on there in total?
It's tough. There's so many that I like. I'm very proud of the Burning Tears, of the soft one. It was one that we tried really hard to get a certain sound, and a sound that we weren't really comfortable with while we were doing it. We weren't sure how to make this atmospheric, this slow, melancholic type sound. And I'm very happy with the way that one turned out. But I'm happy with all of them, like Pray for Water, My Fortress. Like they all have their own little personality to it that I enjoy.
Yeah, I've noticed like the first one, The Illusion, that's the intro with Chrissy Hayes on vocals. But
Yeah.
we've also got the song Burning Tears, feature Lindsay Ward. Now, to me, that sounds like In Orbit by Evergrey. Very similar style. Not the same song, but very similar the way you've done it. And you listen to their version, it's like, oh, this could be a joint thing here, if you're not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and see, I didn't even know that. Like I like that wasn't even a thing in our heads. Like we just had the idea of that's kind of was what we wanted to do. And this is another example of like we're not trying to copy anybody. Like that wasn't a.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just a coincidence that your song just
Yeah.
happens to sound like. But then again, that's going to make your album sell anyway because people like those bands. They're going to go, oh, Evergrey, Camelot, Symphony X.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, it could be worse. It could be Madonna or something. You know.
Not exactly.
So I mean, the album was produced, well, mastered, so to say, by Thomas Johnson. Who's he worked with before?
With who? Sorry.
With Thomas Johnson, he mastered the album. Who's he worked with before you guys?
I think he's done a few bands. I think the most notable is Soil Work. He deals a lot with soil work. I know he's done other ones, but Soil Work, that's kind of what got our attention. He did Fall from Grace as well. And we've just always liked how clean he makes it sound. He just brings up all the right elements in our sound up front on the album that we've always just loved his work, and he's very easy to work with. And
Right, good.
yeah,
So the next question I'm going to ask you, Matt, is: so when do we expect to see you guys tour in Europe? Do you think there'll be any UK shows in the future?
well, for us, we don't have anything planned, but it's something that we really want to do. Europe is a market that we really want to go to. Like we've been there, but through festivals, and but we really need to tour Europe. But it's finding a band to tour with.
I've noticed that you played with some friends of mine, Saxon.
Oh yes,
Yeah, I'm good friends with those guys.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That was our first tour that we ever did, was with Saxon, and it was outstanding. Like just to be around them, because like they have experienced so much and have done so much, and to just watch them and learn from them. And it was, to me, they were a perfect band to tour with as our first tour, because we learned so much from them, because they just had so much experience, and they made it very easy on us. They were a very nice guy. Like it was a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, that's cool because I toured with Saxon and FM and Raven. I was doing merchandise for Raven in 2018 around Europe, so we did the Saxon tour. So it was kind of cool just to say hello to friends that I already knew. So
Sure, yeah.
So, but hey, Matt, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Just for our fans, thank you so much for all the support. We really do appreciate it. Even sending a message telling us how much you like it means everything to us. To the people who have not heard of us, please check us out. And hopefully we will see you guys in Europe and in the UK and finally play some shows there.
All right, Matt. Take care,
That's
brother.
awesome.
Be safe.
Thank you. You
Cheers,
too.
brother. Bye.